Myraen had never known a morning. The city woke instead to the slow blue breathing of the lumen lamps. And in a basalt alcove no wider than a grave, a woman named Sorna woke with it. Her hands ached before her eyes opened. They always did. A miner had come in the night with his chest caved soft as fruit, and she had given him enough of her own light to see him through till dawn. Though there was no dawn here, only the word for it, kept like an heirloom no one could afford to spend. She pressed her thumb to the cracked glass at her throat. Still warm, still hers. For now. In Myraen, the strong were measured by how much light they could pull into themselves. They walked the high galleries bright as held torches. And the brighter they burned, the more the city bent toward them. Sorna had never learned to take. She had only ever learned to give. To press her palms to a broken thing and let her own warmth pour out until the breaking eased. They had a word for people like her. Wellspring. It was not said with kindness. It was said the way you name a thing that will not last. The child came to her on a night the lamps ran low. Wiry, soot-smudged, swallowed in a coat sewn from 100 spent lantern cloths. One eye clouded blind, the other bright as a struck match. Auren. They did not ask to be healed. They only sat in the doorway where the dark was thinnest and watched her work and did not leave. Sorna told herself she would send them on by morning. She did not. Some lights you do not get to choose. They simply arrive, and you find you have already begun to shield them with your hands. Auren carried a tin whistle and played it low when the city grew too loud with taking. The notes were small and crooked and entirely their own. Sorna found that she slept better for the sound of it, and she had not slept well in years. She began to save the heel of her bread. She began to leave the lamp burning a little longer. These are the small treasons of the heart. Not grand, not chosen. Only the slow turning of one life toward another. The way roots turn in the dark toward water. To understand Myraen, you must understand the draw. Every soul could pull lumen, the stored light life of the living world, out of stone, out of water, out of one another. The strong hoarded it. They glowed, they commanded. And the light they took did not come from nowhere. It came from the dim wards below, from the tired and the small, drawn upward in thin, bright threads like rain falling in reverse. No one called it theft. They called it the order of things. In Myraen, the question was never whether you would take, only how much. Sorna had walked the lower wards her whole life. She knew the faces that dimmed a little more each season. lamplighters, the carriers, the ones who gave their glow upward and got nothing back. She mended them when she could, a palm to a cheek, a breath of her own warmth into a failing chest. It was never enough. It was never going to be enough. That she had made a quiet peace with smallness, to save no one and still to ease one, to lose slowly and still to stay. There is a particular tiredness that comes from giving in a world built on taking. It is not the body. The body recovers. It is the part of you that keeps a ledger. Sorna had stopped keeping hers. She had decided long ago that she would not measure her life in what it earned her, only in what it kept warm. And so she lived dim and unremarkable, a wick that would not catch the way the city wanted. And for a while, that was enough to be left alone. For a while. High above the wards, in a hall of fused lantern glass, sat the brightest man in Myraen, Mordain. They said he had been born dim as anyone and had simply wanted more than anyone and taken it. His armor was veined with stolen gold light that pulsed beneath the plates like a second heartbeat. Around his throne hung the caged lamps of those he had emptied. He did not hate the small. He simply did not see them as anything but fuel that had not yet been spent. Mordain had accounting to do. The light of Myraen was waning, the deep springs that fed it running thin. And a waning city makes a hungry king nervous. So he sent his collectors down into the dim wards to find every unclaimed glow and bring it up. Every flicker, every wellspring, every small, stubborn light that had escaped the ledger. Somewhere far below, a woman with blue-veined hands was leaving her lamp burning a little too long for a child who played a crooked whistle. They came on a quiet shift when the lamps breathed low. The collectors. Armored, gold-lit, polite in the way of people who have never once been told no. They moved through the lower wards, taking inventory of souls. Sorna heard them before she saw them. The small sounds of light being pulled out of things that needed it. She did the only thing her hands knew how to do. She put herself between them and the doorway where a child sat very still, holding a whistle, not playing it. The collector's gaze passed over her and found nothing worth taking. A dim woman, a wellspring. Less than fuel. But it found the child. It found the bright, small, stubborn light of someone who had not yet been taught to give it away. And it reached. Sorna did not think. She pressed her palm to the child's chest and pulled their glow into herself, down out of sight. Hid it under her own dimness like a coal under ash. "There is nothing here," she said. "Only me." They left. They always leave when there is nothing bright to stay for. Sorna held the borrowed light inside her chest until the corridor went silent. And then she gave it back, gently, all of it, into the child's small frame. Auren looked at her with one clouded eye and one bright one and understood. The way children understand the things adults will not say. That she had spent something to keep them. That she would do it again. That this was what she was for. Giving has a cost, and the ledger Sorna refused to keep had been keeping itself. Each time she poured out her warmth, a little less returned. The blue veins along her arms grew fainter. Her hands grew cold between the patients. She caught herself resting against walls she used to pass. She did not tell the child. She told no one. In a city that measured worth by light, to admit you were running low was to invite the collectors to your door. And she had something now worth keeping them from. There is a kind of love that looks, from the outside, like simply growing tired. Sorna gave the child the heel of the bread and said she had eaten. She gave them the warmer corner and said she preferred the cold. She gave and gave in the small, invisible ways until giving was no longer something she did, but something she was made of. And the lamp at her throat, the cracked glass that held the last of her own light, grew dimmer, night after unmorninged night. Word travels, even in the dark. A collector remembered a dim woman who had stood too still. A ledger noted a ward where the numbers did not add. Mordain, counting his waning city, sent word. Bring the wellspring. Whatever she is hiding, it is mine. And so Sorna did the thing the small must sometimes do. She took the child's hand and the cracked lamp, and she went down, past the lit galleries, past the last carved balcony, down to where the maps of Myraen simply stopped. Below the maps, the lamps did not reach. There was only the small blue light of Sorna's failing lamp and the warmth of a child's hand. They walked where no one walked, through galleries that had forgotten they were ever carved. Auren did not play the whistle here, but once, in the deepest dark, they hummed. Barely a thread of sound. And Sorna realized she was not afraid. Strange to find that at the bottom of everything, with nothing left to lose but the one thing she would not, he was waiting where the dark grew deepest, where the last deep spring of Myraen welled black and still. Mordain, made of borrowed suns. He had come down himself, because a king who is running low cannot trust his counting to others. You hid something from me, he said. and his stolen light pulsed gold against the black water. A wellspring does not hoard. It is not in your nature. Sorna stepped between him and the child as she had 100 times before. "No," she said, "it is not. That is why you will never understand what I am about to do." Mordain reached for the child's light the way he had reached for everything in his life, certain it would come. And Sorna did not resist him. She did something he had never once seen in all his bright and taking years. She opened her hands and she gave. Not to the child, to him. She poured the last of her own warmth toward the man who had come to empty her. Faster than he could take it, more than he had ever held. Until the borrowed suns inside his armor guttered, overfull, and the dark began, very softly, to glow. You cannot take from someone who is already giving everything away. This was the thing Mordain had never learned. The arithmetic underneath all the others. Taking needs resistance. It needs a holding on to pull against. And Sorna was holding on to nothing. Nothing but the small, warm hand behind her, which she had already let go. His light overflowed and scattered into the spring, into the water, into the deep, returning to the city it had been stolen from. She spent herself like coin, and she did it gladly. The blue light left her veins in long, slow ribbons and sank into the black spring, and the spring took it and woke. Light moved upward through Myraen for the first time in living memory. Not pulled, not taken, but given. Rising on its own toward the dim and the tired and the small. Sorna sank to her knees at the water's edge. She was very cold now. She had never, in all her life, been so warm. Mordain was gone, not slain, only emptied. A dim and ordinary man kneeling in water that no longer feared him. He wept, perhaps. The dark does not record such things. Behind Sorna, the child crept close, whistle forgotten. One bright eye full of light. "You gave it all away," Auren whispered. Sorna smiled and pressed the cracked lamp into their small hands. The last warm ember of herself. "Not all," she said. "I kept the part that matters. I kept you." They found a hollow below the maps where the new light pooled soft and blue. Sorna could not walk far now. She did not need to. The child made a small place for them both against the curved, warm stone and lit the cracked lamp and sat close. Above them, impossibly far, a thread of color bled down through a crack in the rock. Not gold, not lumen, but something older. The first true light Myraen had seen in 3 generations. Dawn, or the memory of it, finally spent. The city changed slowly, the way deep things change. The light that rose from the spring could not be hoarded. It slipped through grasping hands and settled instead on the small. The wards grew brighter, the galleries grew dimmer, and no one mourned them. They told a story after of a wellspring who emptied a king, though Sorna would not have called it that. She would have said only that she had found something worth keeping warm and had kept it with the whole of what she was. So rest now. The king is unmade, and the light is rising. And the small are no longer only fuel waiting to be spent. In a hollow below the maps, a child sleeps against a frail, warm shoulder. A cracked lamp glowing soft between them. Whatever was taken from Myraen, the dark did not take everything. It let her keep the one small, stubborn light she chose. Rest now. The lantern is small, but it is still burning, and she is still here to tend it.